Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. If you've ever driven through a city like Oslo, you already know the streets aren't just ruled by cars and bikes. No, they're dominated by massive rolling giants on steel rails. Today, we're taking a virtual driving journey right through those tram-filled streets. This is an environment where the laws of physics heavily dictate the rules of the road, and relying on your standard driving instincts can actually get you into some serious trouble. So buckle up, because we're about to decode exactly how to share the roads safely.
So let's dive right into this. Who wins in a fight between a 40-ton tram and your car? Obviously, it's not the car, but it's actually the terrifying physics of that reality that shapes every single traffic law we're going to discuss today. You see, a tram isn't just a really long bus. It is exceptionally heavy. And because of that immense weight, it needs a way longer stopping distance than your passenger car ever would. Plus, and this is the kicker, it runs on fixed tracks. A tram absolutely cannot swerve to avoid an obstacle. If you're in the way, well, the tram has nowhere else to go. To keep you safe and the city moving, we're going to cover the ultimate right-of-way, intersections and roundabouts, decoding light signals, sharing and parking, pedestrian safety, and finally, surviving the steel tracks. Mastering these 6 scenarios isn't just about avoiding a scratched bumper. It's absolutely essential for passing your theory test and confidently navigating any modern city.
All right, Section 1, the ultimate right-of-way.
When you enter a zone shared with public transport on rails, your everyday driving rules kind of take a back seat. In normal driving, well, especially in Norway, you're deeply conditioned to follow the general rule of giving way to traffic approaching from your right. Right? Well, throw that right out the window when a tram is involved. Because of their massive stopping distances and those fixed tracks we just talked about, trams basically have the ultimate right-of-way. Even if you're at an unregulated intersection and a tram is coming from your left, you are legally required to give way. You always yield to a tram regardless of its direction of travel, unless specific signs or lights tell you otherwise.
Moving on to Section 2, intersections and roundabout rules.
Keeping that absolute priority in mind, as we drive up to our first virtual obstacle, complex junctions, things can get really tricky if you aren't paying attention. The golden rule of intersections involving tram lines is this: do not obstruct their path. If you're waiting to turn across tram tracks, you have got to look both ways and make sure the coast is completely clear. And here's where a lot of drivers actually mess up: queuing. You must never, ever stop and queue directly on top of the tracks. If traffic is crawling, you just wait behind the tracks until there's enough space on the other side for your entire vehicle to clear the rails. So the crucial point here is that even in roundabouts, the normal rules are completely flipped. Normally, if you're already inside a roundabout, you have the right-of-way over entering traffic. But a lot of Norwegian roundabouts actually have tram tracks cutting right through the center. If a tram is entering or crossing that roundabout, it maintains absolute priority. You literally must stop and wait inside the circle to let that tram pass, even if you are already established in your lane. Always keep an eye out for specialized ground markings right before these specific intersections.
Okay, Section 3, decoding tram light signals.
If you've ever looked up while driving near a tram line, you've probably noticed those alien-looking white traffic lights. Trams don't always use the standard red, yellow, and green lights. They use these specialized signals instead. The S signal means stop, just like a red light. The horizontal bar is a stop or transition phase, kind of like your yellow light. But that vertical or diagonal bar, that means the tram has a clear path to move straight or turn. That is their green light. Now, while these are meant for the tram driver, knowing how to translate them helps you anticipate exactly what that 40-ton vehicle is about to do.
If you see that signal change to a vertical bar, expect the tram to move instantly. And whatever you do, do not try to beat the tram across the intersection. Many intersections use what are called pre-signals specifically for public transport. Basically, the tram's light will tell it to go a few seconds before your traffic light turns green. They get a head start to keep the city's transport network running smoothly and efficiently. So always just be patient and wait for your own green light.
Next up, Section 4, sharing the road and parking.
Let's look at the more subtle dangers of driving alongside a moving tram or finding a place to park without causing a citywide meltdown. On a lot of streets, you'll be sharing the exact same lane as the tram. If one is behind you, just maintain a steady speed or safely move aside to let it pass. But the real hidden danger here is something called the swept path. Trams are actually significantly wider than the physical steel tracks they run on. You might look out your window, see your wheels aren't touching the rails and think, hey, I'm safe. But your side mirrors or the edge of your car might still be sitting squarely in the tram's swept path, and they'll just get crushed as it passes.
And get this, it takes just one One single improperly parked car encroaching on that swept path to completely stall the entire public transport network. If you park too close to the tracks and block a tram, you aren't just getting a standard parking ticket. Oh no, you're facing heavy fines, immediate towing, and the sheer anger of hundreds of delayed commuters. So always look for no parking signs near tracks and give them an incredibly wide berth.
Section 5. Pedestrian safety at tram stops. Now, while crushing a mirror is bad, navigating a busy tram stop introduces the most vulnerable element of all, pedestrians exiting the vehicles. Tram stops in cities like Oslo come in different forms, and your legal obligations as a driver completely change based on how they're built. If a tram stops at a station with no raised island, it means passengers are stepping directly out of the tram and right into the car lane to reach the sidewalk. In this scenario, you are legally required to stop your car well behind the tram. You cannot move until the doors close and every single passenger is safe. Never, ever try to squeeze past. Now, if the stop does have a raised island, you can carefully proceed, but you have got to remain hyper-aware of the people around you.
And that hyper-awareness is absolutely crucial because of a phenomenon known as the track crossers. Even at safe stops with raised islands, people are just unpredictable. Pedestrians will often hop off the tram and immediately run around the back of it to cross the street, completely blind to the oncoming car traffic in the opposite lane. You have to anticipate that someone might dart out from behind that massive vehicle at any given second.
Finally, Section 6, Surviving the Steel Tracks.
So we've covered the rules, the signals, and the people. Now we've got to talk about the physical reality of the road surface itself, which can be downright treacherous. The physical presence of steel tracks is a major technical challenge, especially during a harsh Norwegian winter or a heavy rainy season. Wet, icy, or leaf-covered steel rails offer literally zero grip. They are exceptionally slippery. So, here is your rapid-fire safety checklist. First, when you have to cross the tracks, try to steer your car so your tires hit them at as sharp an angle as possible, ideally close to 90 degrees. This prevents your tires from catching in the groove of the rail and ripping the steering wheel right out of your hands. Second, absolutely no heavy braking while your tires are touching metal. And third, avoid any sudden steering maneuvers on the rails. Smooth, deliberate driving is your absolute best defense against losing control.
So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a thought. We've seen the sheer size of these vehicles, the way they completely command intersections, the hidden dangers of the swept path, and the physical hazards of those slippery steel tracks. Driving in a tram city requires a totally different mindset. It's really about anticipation, patience, and a deep respect for momentum. Next time you find yourself driving alongside those rails, remember these rules. Apply them. Knowing the unstoppable physics of a tram, are you prepared to safely share the road, or will you be the one holding up the entire city? Thanks so much for joining me on this virtual drive, and stay safe out there.